Hey there, YouTube land. Big Dave here. And it's March 2020. And I had promised some people that I would make some videos again after my winter break, which was, it's over. Now I'm on to doing some other stuff, and I have some gigs coming up, so I have to kind of refocus myself on what I'm doing. And today's coffee is brought to you by WQXR, which is the only classical station left in New York City. Besides, they play some classical on like WKCR. But if you're in the New York area, you know WQXR is still playing classical music all the time. And they just had their fundraiser, so that's how you get the mug. You get the mug by donating to WQXR. That's what's always on in the background usually. And today I'm drinking Caffe Verona by Starbucks. I'm still waiting for my coffee sponsors, so Starbucks, get on the job here, you know. I shouldn't be using the Keurig because of the plastic. We have too much plastic. But I usually make the pot. But today I have running around, and I was already out 3 times this morning doing stuff. So we're just doing this Keurig thing. All right, so I had some questions about different things, and I always get questions about the clarinet, and I thought that I'm going to pick up a little bit on some clarinet stuff. And somebody wrote about, oh yeah, how can you find a good clarinet? And you got to go play them. Got to go try them out and test them out. And sometimes by accident you find one that's better than others if you order one. I mean, I did have an experience one time with an A clarinet that there was one on a clearance. It was a really good price. It was a Selmer 10S, I think, and it was on sale in a woodwind place. It was brand new. It was a discontinued model, and I needed an A clarinet for something, and I had sold my other one, so I bought the A clarinet, and it turned out to be a really good one, and I had it for a while, and then you know, it was getting used in other places and stuff, and eventually that got sold because I hardly use it, and I don't really play much orchestra music. So along the way, that went. I should have kept it though. Looking back on that, you know, you ever sell stuff and then you turn around and say, "Oh, I should have kept that thing," because it was a good one. I should have just held on to it. But this clarinet, I mean, I picked this out like so long ago. I think 1978, and my father paid for it at the time. I must have been like 19 or 18 years old at the time. Yeah, I was about 19. And he drove me down to Red Bank Music in New Jersey. That's all gone now. And you could go in there, and they had all kinds of stuff. And he had about 5 of these. And this is a 10G. You could still get these used. You can get really good ones used. You know, you got to try them out. But I've been playing this one clarinet since 1979. And I had a spare. I had a buffet that I bought maybe in the year 2000. And I kept it for a couple of years, and then I sold it because every time I picked it up, it felt different. And so I just stayed with this one that I picked out in 1979. I remember that day when I tried them, and believe it or not, I do remember. I was in a practice room, and I had a few of them. They were all brand new. They were never played. I was the first one that ever played them. And there was like 4 of them, I think. There might have been 5, but I didn't try all 5. I tried one. I thought it was too bright. Although it was kind of live, it just felt bright to me. And then I played another one, and I thought it was a little bit on the like stuffy side. And then I played this one, and what I really liked about this one was it had these overtones to it that were just, it seemed to me like, first of all, it was very in tune. The pitch was really good, but it had overtones that just kind of worked. And you could play harmonics, and when I went to play the upper notes, like the high, very high register, they just kind of played by themselves. I didn't have to work hard. It had a big low register. And I've been lucky, it's never cracked. Now, some people oil their clarinets. I don't think this has been oiled in a while. But what I'll do once in a while when it starts to get more humid outside is I'll just open the case and leave it like out on my sun porch and let it soak up some humidity. Because, you know, this wood, it really, I'm just kind of putting it together. I don't use a lot of cork grease either. Sometimes I just put it in my mouth. That's old school. People don't do that anymore. Makes everybody nervous, you know. And now here it is. So there's the clarinet. But what happens from here up could be variable. You know, like here, this is what I use most of the time. It's a buffet barrel. 66 is the size. And a B46. This is what I use most of the time. I have a few of these, but this is kind of the one I prefer. It's just stock. It's I have a few that are changed a little bit. I have one where the tip is open slightly, and the rail is thinned out, and it's more abrasive and more loud. And I use it for like Dixieland or stuff like that. And it has this is just more like general, you know. But so you put it on there, and then this is my buffet. Now I have, for example, in this bag, sometimes I might have this. These are the reeds I use most of the time lately. 3.5 Vandoren V21. Maybe Vandoren will sponsor my channel. You know? Nah, they can't be bothered. Anyway, the V21 3.5 plus, I think is a good reed. It seems to work. You can break them in soon out of the package. Here's when I started. Oops, that must be the one that's on the clarinet. But anyway, well, we'll get back to that. So, like here in this bag, I have a Selmer barrel. This is a short barrel, I think. Yeah, 65. And the reason this has a short barrel, because that's what plays with this mouthpiece. Now, this is an unusual mouthpiece. This was actually gifted to me by a good friend from long ago, and I really appreciate that I have this. I use it sometimes for different things. It's a Meyer 5 with a large chamber. And it says on it, you can't really see it, but it says there, large chamber. That's a special order mouthpiece. And here I have a really, really, really old, this is the first Ravner ligature I ever bought ever. This is from like 1980 or so when they first came out. And I still have it, I still use it. I had a tenor one, that one fell apart years ago. I still have the one on the clarinet, and it still works perfectly. And if I put a different ligature on, it doesn't work the same. Works, something's different about it. But the way, I mean, with clarinets, you want to make sure the keys close. Now that sounds obvious, right? That the keys close. But what happens is sometimes you push on the ring, and the ring is really high, and this thing closes down ahead of time, and the ring is sticking up, and that'll happen up here too. And then these things need to be adjusted. But it's hard to try them out. You shouldn't have to press hard to close these rings. But what happens sometimes in new clarinets is the wood swells, and these rings, they stick to the wood underneath them. So sometimes this has to be taken off, and the outer shells of these tone holes have to be just adjusted slightly. But you got to go to a repairman that knows, or a repair woman, whoever, that knows what they're doing. So, I mean, there's other kind of clarinets out now. I don't even know what they are because I don't try them. But there, I know that there's still Buffet in Selmer, and there's Bakun, and there's other ones. I don't know what they are. My friend plays Buffet mostly. I've been playing the Selmer, like I just told you, from 1979. I mean, you have to go try them, because otherwise you don't know what they do. And then you want to listen for the middle register here, like the pincher keys, the B flat and stuff. If it doesn't play, if it's stuffy, try a different clarinet, and you'll find one that's not so stuffy. But now the next thing is the tuning. Like in my practice room, this tuner is pretty old. I have this plugged in. It's always on. I don't even turn it off. I have it on auto. So if I'm playing a guitar, a clarinet, saxophone, whatever, I can always look over at the tuner and see if I'm in the range or not. Because some clarinets play flat in the low register. See now, and one thing is I don't put a lot of cork grease on here, because when you're on a professional job, you don't want this to be sliding around all the time. Every time you pick the clarinet up, it's moving. So, I don't use too much cork grease. I use it once in a while when I have to use cork grease. It's hard to explain, but you pick up the clarinet, and then these joints are loose. Now, if you're playing orchestral music and you're going to switch back and forth between the A clarinet and the B flat clarinet, some people just change the mouthpiece, which I think is really awkward, because a lot of times the ligature comes off with it. If you can change the whole barrel and everything, but that doesn't always work. And some people use a different mouthpiece on each one, so they just pick the clarinet up and they play it. I don't know. So recently, I've been using these V21. I don't soak my reeds too much. I just, like I just did, I just put a little moisture on it, mostly so that it doesn't slide around on the mouthpiece. I already know and here's my ligature I've used for ages. It's all black. It's a Vandoren Optimum. Maybe Vandoren will send me one of these so I can have a new one that's all shiny, right? Anyway, but this has the rails on it, and there's different kinds. There's ones with points, and I don't tighten it much. Look, I only tighten it a little bit. It's loose, really. Now I haven't picked this up in a couple weeks. I was working on a little solo piece that I have to play somewhere. So the other thing is my teeth are crooked. So when I put this in my mouth, I kind of feel if it's at the right angle, and it's not, I'm going to move it slightly so that it's not pushing against the corner of my tooth. Okay, so this reed, I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to stay with this reed. This reed is a little on the stiff side today, and it's a little resistant, but we're going to stay with it. Play low F. See, got a big sound, even though it's a little bit on the stiff, stuffy side today. Low E. Has a C, A. You can get all those super high notes out with this reed without trying too hard, And your octaves, like you go from the high F or the Weber to the low. I always try never to let that note kind of dip, which it just did before. See, and find those pitches on this. Unfortunately, those are the kind of things you want to test when you go to pick out a clarinet. I don't know. And change some of these corks out. Like get rid of this felt, make it a cork, and get rid of this G sharp and make it a chord because they always stick. You want to check the middle register. If you use the closed B flat, the alternate. See, when you vent it, it's a better B flat. You hear a little bit of harshness in there. Nobody hears that out in the audience. You're the only one that hears that. If you don't have the slightest bit of, a little bit of bite there, it doesn't have any projection. It doesn't carry. So you can't play over some of the other instruments. See the A to the B. And then you decide what B flat you like. I have another video where I talk about that stuff. So anyway, I have some music I have to work on the clarinet, and there it is. Another day we'll talk about some other things with this. You know, I'm not going to get into this now, but like here's a whole box of my other mouthpieces, barrels, ligatures. I could use any one of these things. They all do a little something different, but this is what I prefer. This is I prefer B46, an optimum ligature, and right now a 3.5 plus Vandoren. Okay, well, and we covered all those bases. So here we are, we're March, and I hope you have a good day. It's Sunday, it's nice out, and it's going to be kayak season very soon. All right, have a good day, and we'll talk.